Oh, hey, what's up, everybody? Did you happen to see last night's episode of Real Housewives of Potomac? Let me just say this for starters. Everybody showed up for work last night. Everybody. Everybody from the characters, I'm calling them characters, the cast. The cast showed up. The production showed up. The editor showed up. The construction workers showed up. And that's important, y'all. Construction workers are important. Important, but everybody showed up to work last night. And it was I hate saying the word, but I'm going to say it. It was an epic episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac. Now let's get into it. I'm not going to go through all the details because there are other people who do that. I'm just going to go through the things, the highlights. Maybe I'll go through. Because, the episode opens up with Gizelle driving in from taking Grace for a driving lesson, her daughter. And they arrive at the monstrosity of a house that is not finished with the West Wing. The house that, looks like it's been reclaimed wood put together. She's taking pieces from abandoned houses in the neighborhood. I don't know what's going on. Where is your architect? Where is your contractor, Gizelle? This house is a travesty. Anyhow, on another note, Gizelle, did you ever take Grace and the twins to ride bumper cars or go-karts? Because it's like she has no idea how a car works. Or is this just for a storyline? I don't know. Anyhow, Robyn calls Gizelle. Bring, 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 bring. Hey, girl. Hey. Let's talk about this podcast party. Oh, yeah. Gizelle and Robyn are launching a podcast as if the world needs another podcast. And as if the world needs to see them more than one Sunday a week and out of a season. Like, we don't need to see you guys that often. Because, to be honest, Robyn has a very monotone voice. And Gizelle doesn't really say much. They don't really say a lot. Like, I still question why Gizelle's on that show with Portia. Was it Bravo chat room, whatever it is? I still question why they even have that show because the synergy was off, but that's another story. So she calls and they talk about this podcast launch party for Reasonably Shady. That's what it's called, Reasonably Shady. And they were like, well, we're going to have it at my house at Gizelle's unfinished house. Like, why are you having a party when your house is under construction? Like, who does that? Like, who does that? And I know that on these shows, I've heard through the grapevine and other people have said that they all have to host a certain amount of events each season. So I guess this is one of Gizelle's events. So, and I guess she said, I'm not going to rent out a venue. We're going to have it at my unfinished house. They're going to come. We're going to have it here. And she says, everybody can't use my bathroom. And like, who? Wendy and Karen can't use my bathroom. And actually, Robyn objected to something. Robyn actually objected to something that Gizelle has said. She's like, if you're going to invite people to your house, you got to treat them all equally. And then Gizelle throws shade at Karen. Karen's old ass can't hold her bladder. I'm just like, Gizelle, how are you 50 years old age shaming people? Like, you're 50. You're in that age bracket that people shame. People actually shame people over 30. Like, you go on the internet, people are like, you old. Like, I'm like, where is 30 old? But people shame people your age, Gizelle. So how are you shaming Karen, who's maybe like 7 years older than you? And at this point, Gizelle, you're 51 because I know you're a Virgo. So that's what you've said before. So like, she goes on, and so like they agree. So then, we come back to Karen. Karen is at her house and her publicist arrives with a box of candles, her 3-wick candles, not to Wendy's 1-wick candle. And they discuss, she throws a little shade at Wendy saying like, oh my God, there's enough for all of us. Wendy can be in e-commerce. I'm like, Karen, listen, I mentioned this in the video before. Last year for Christmas, I bought my mother a La Dame candle as kind of a joke. And then I wanted to see what it smelled like, and I wanted to support Karen because Karen is my favorite, right? So we got it. And when I tell you that perfume smells like old lady circa 1985 when I would go to my grandmother's house and get into her stuff. Get out my stuff. Grandma, what's this? It stinks. It smelled like a knockoff to Chanel No. 5, if you know what I'm saying. So I hope these candles, this 3-wick candle doesn't smell like that, because I would not want that knockoff Chanel No. 5 permeating through my home. So I'm hoping I'm hoping and praying, Karen, that you make a hit. And about this being e-commerce thing, I'm like, you're in one store, as I recall, and that was Bloomingdale's, and that was only one Bloomingdale's location. And Bloomingdale's isn't like Macy's. It's not like in every city. Okay, so Karen, let's pull back a little bit from that. Let's just pull back. So then, Ray goes outside. Ray gets this strange call from, who is this strange? I don't know who this is. I don't know. Karen calls it back. We've been married for 25 years. It goes to voicemail. And it's like, don't nobody want Ray. He can't even pay his bills, Karen. Like, don't nobody want Ray. And Ray even said, I can't do nothing with no young thing like that. So then, we go away, we come back to Candace and her mother Dorothy in the kitchen. Dorothy's giving Candace suggesting that, oh, maybe you should get some gold trimming. And Candy's like, oh no, gold can kind of date your house. I'm like, Candace, newsflash, that granite countertop you got there, it's dated. That is like early 2000s. It's time to update that countertop. Anyhow, so then they start talking about the video shoot where Dorothy brings up that Mia was asking questions, or was it Candace that brought it up? Why was Mia asking you questions? Dorothy has amnesia of the whole moment. Like, basically, it was nothing in malice. She was just asking about, who's the manager? How was Chris getting paid? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, why is she in my business? It's not like until Chris is, in the MGM, like with a woman in a hotel and a bar, like she's shading Ashley. Like she took this moment to shade Ashley and Michael because Michael has been caught in hotels, right? So then Chris enters the room and Dorothy's like, what's the contract of your manager position? And Chris checks her instantly like, look, my contract is my wedding license and my prenuptial agreement. And I don't see any bills going to you with Chris Bassett's name on it. And Dorothy did this. Like, yeah, right. Because Dorothy knows she's still paying some bills in there. So anyhow, we go away and we come back to Mia and her family having ice cream. Her mother's there. It's like Mia takes every opportunity to bring her mother on the show as a storyline. I feel like Mia is using her mother for her mother's past, her sordid past. Like, she's putting her mother on blast, and she's also like shaming her mother for like not being motherly, but it's under the guise of, I was a hurt little girl. And yes, she was probably very much so hurt and probably still is hurt and kind of jealous because her sister gets a lot of her mother's time, probably because her sister's not shaming her and accepts her for who she is. And Mia should be happy that her mother's like, I apologize, I'm sorry, because she's not like Frankie, Keisha Cole's mother, God rest her soul, who was not apologetic for, she wanted them to treat me like, I'm your mother, who cares, forget about the past. And she was never really remorseful. I'll never forget on one of those therapy shows, Frankie wasn't remorseful because Frankie's development, she hadn't developed since the age she started doing drugs. But that's another story. So, they have this moment and blah, blah, blah. They move on. So then it's like we move on over to Wendy's house. Karen arrives. Karen's been driven. She had a car service. A guy lets her out the car. They go in, hi, girl, you look beautiful, blah, blah. So Karen, what I brought you here for today is, I'm here to help educators, because a lot of times educators have to come out of their pocket, which is so true. So many of my teacher friends are always buying stuff for their students, and it's not within the budget of the school. They're paying for it out of pocket. So then Escala joins them. Escala has brought some style to this show, because I've always thought this show, these women just did not have style. And so Escala has brought some style to the show and brought, her certain je ne sais quoi. So Escala lets, Wendy tells Escala what they're doing. She's like, oh, great. I was an educator for 10 years myself. So they start stuffing bags, but they're not really here for the stuffing bags. They're here for the mess. So, did you see what Mia was doing to Candace's mother, like asking about their finances? I would not be, she was appalled by this. So then, of course, that's just a seed to plant for Karen to go and spread it. Anyhow, they bring up, what did you think of Gizelle's invitation to her party? Okay, about that. I am an art director, a graphic designer, a designer by trade. I'm just on YouTube trying to have a little fun with you guys. But Gizelle just does not have an eye for design in any form of fashion. Design meaning, i.e., fashion, i.e. interiors, i.e. wall art, i.e. invitations. With all that's out there on the market, that's what you came up with for an invitation, Gizelle? I mean, with Zazzle. I sell invitations on Zazzle, by the way, as well as I sell invitations on Etsy. I'll drop the link. On Minted, even on Canva, you can build your own. There's so many non-designers doing great design because of templates that are out there. Gizelle, and that's the one you chose? But anyhow, when they were talking about what you think about the invitation, they were more so talking about the language of the invitation. Because the invitation it was very shady, because it's a reasonably shady party. Like, what was it? Haters and friends or something like that. I'm like, who says that? Like, first of all, who's inviting a hater to your party? Knowingly a hater to your party. So then they were like, whatever, I'll go. So then Wendy mentioned she wants to do a couples trip, like maybe we'll go down the Eastern Shore or, somewhere in Virginia, or Maryland and Virginia area in the DMV on the coastline. Because why? COVID. They can't travel like they used to travel. So they're like designated to nearby places because they're not flying anywhere. They're not flying crews everywhere during this time. Anyhow, so they keep discussing the options of this couples trip, and they were like, well, who's going to come? Like, will Ray come? Will Skylar, you can bring your husband, and I guess, I'll bring Eddie, Idris Elba's lookalike. I'll bring him, and then, maybe Michael will come with Ashley, and Chris will come. But who will Gizelle bring? Her luggage. Zing. Like, okay, you can bring her luggage. So, that's the whole thing. They're going to have this party. And then they didn't even mention Juan and Robyn because, that non-existent relationship Wendy mentioned. They didn't even mention that. But so, that goes on. And so then we come back to the day of the event, the day of the reasonably shady event. And balloons are flying away. It's like, it's outside of Gizelle's house where construction workers are working, which, that's good because, it's good to have a good crew. So I guess she had to keep the crew. If the crew said they were coming today, they need to be there. Because sometimes when the crew says they're coming, they don't come. So maybe that's the logic of why the crew was there on the day of an event. Shout out to Tisha from Love and Marriage Huntsville. I was about to say hip hop. But anyhow, so if you're having an event, is it proper to have a construction crew there? But like I said, you got to get your work done. Haven't had that experience with lying construction people. So I guess that's why they're there, because she got to get the work done. It's been going on too long. So like we see her daughter setting up, balloons are flying, posters are falling down, and it's under a tent. Like under a tent, you can easily get it at Walmart or a sporting goods space, like a tent you would take to the beach. Then she has like this like Louis XIV huge like pink chair and some like home goods table, little end table setup, little sofa setup. I mean, it was kind of cute, but if you really look at it, like when I paused the screen, I was like, look at that. That's a tacky mess, but it's so like Gizelle. So then everybody starts arriving. Who's first? Ashley arrives, and Ashley's like, oh my god, look at it. I'm like, she's excited about this monstrosity, this unfinished monstrosity, this dilapidated house of Gizelle's with the west wing to the left and the future foyer that's being built. Okay, but you know what? If you look at Ashley's house, her condo, I can see why this might excite her, because Ashley's condo is quite tacky as well. But maybe that was Michael's taste, not Ashley, and Michael didn't let her decorate. Anyhow, Mia arrives, and Mia's like, Hotel Gizelle, more like Motel Gizelle, because it's like, we're in the grass. And a Skylar arrives and says, ooh, see, she sees Gizelle sitting in the chair. Oh, look at you, giving real Diana Ross, which I didn't see Diana Ross there. Maybe Donna Summer, maybe because of the way her hair was positioned. But then Gizelle's like, I'm thinking Sasha Fierce. Why does everybody want to, like on these shows, want to be Beyonce? And especially like the older women. Like, why do you want to be Beyonce so bad? Like, just be the best you. Just say, I'm the best me. Why you gotta always say, I'm thinking Sasha Fierce? Like, Gizelle, ain't nothing fierce about you. I mean, maybe back in your day, I'm not age shaming you because I'm not that much younger than you, Gizelle. But I'm not age shaming you, but it's like I feel like Gizelle was stuck when she was her hottest. That's why she's stuck in that tacky era. Well, maybe she's just tacky. I don't know. So then Karen arrives and she's stumbling through like, what is this? And then Karen sits down. She's like, I just want to let y'all know I had the shot and I'm feeling a little crazy. And she's like making her faces. Cameron's checking her like, the conspiracy theorists out there seem to believe that once you get the shot, they're injecting a microchip in you. And by Karen's behavior, they might be onto something. Because Karen was definitely acting like she was activated by something. I'm just saying. I don't know others that have experienced that. But that's what I'm saying. That's what the conspiracy streets are telling us. So then, they sit down and Gizelle takes a jab. Well, we're not going to wait for the late ones to get here. We're going to play a game. Robyn and I, iHeartRadio came to us about a podcast. Said we should do a podcast. Or did y'all go to iHeartRadio? Or like, really? They really came to y'all? Oh, okay. Maybe because you have celebrity. Maybe. But I don't think anybody's like, oh, what does Gizelle have to say? I think they just started that podcast because Monique started a podcast. And how successful is Monique's Not for Lazy Moms podcast? Like, I'm not interested. I wouldn't have ever been interested in it, but I mean, she's still doing it. Everybody and their mama has a podcast. Everybody's doing a podcast. Anyhow, Gizelle says, this podcast, this is because, Robyn's reasonable and I'm shady. Like, we haven't even cussed each other out yet. We did have a disagreement about who was going, who could use my bathroom. And Wendy said, well, who couldn't use your bathroom? That would be you and Karen. Why couldn't I? Because you talked about my house. I did not talk about your house. I did not. And Karen's like, well, maybe that was me. I talked about your house. I did not talk about your house. You did a little bit earlier today, but she wouldn't have known that. So, no, Wendy has not talked about your house. I talked about the way you dressed. Then Bravo, of course, cut in that scene. Gizelle has pretty girl syndrome. She doesn't have to try. And, she took that as a compliment. But really, like Cynthia told Claudia Jordan, or made the comment about Claudia Jordan, her one season, that, just because you're pretty, that doesn't mean you don't need makeup, especially as you get older. Cynthia didn't say that. You might need makeup as you get older. Like, pretty girls, live off where they were the prettiest, stuck right there. Anyhow, so Gizelle enters into the game. The game is, we're going to hold up this paddle. I'm going to ask some questions. It's going to be, you're going to answer, is it reasonably or is it shady? So first set of questions, of course, it was all passive aggressively directed at Wendy. And then they were like, well, when is it proper? And I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember every word. Is it proper to go and to tell someone that someone was talking about their finances in the middle of a video shoot? And Robyn's like, shady. And Wendy's like, reasonably. And then, and then Mia chimes in, it was shady. And then how about it was shady to ask someone's mother about her daughter's finances? That's shady. Why wasn't that question included, Gizelle? And Gizelle, you also left out the part where you were like all in it saying that Chris was hanging on his riding Shannon's coattails. Did you not? All right. So then, we cut to the part that I love the most. And it's when Candace comes in. It's like she's running down this hill like Jason or Michael Myers is chasing her like, God, where are we? Where are we? Like, she's making it seem like Gizelle has like a mile-long driveway. Where are we? And so then she finally comes in. Hi. Oh, how are you? Here's something for you. She brought some wine for... Oh, back it up. Karen brought wine and a candle. And when Wendy was looking like, whatever. There's enough for us all. So anyhow, so Candace arrives and she comes in. So they thought Candace was going to be on their side. Yeah. We were asking if it's shady or not, for her to, ask your mom about your finances. I think because that was an improper time, I think it was fine. And, I think it was fine. Because a real friend would do that. Like, and who are you, Mia? Like, and then Mia basically goes on to tell her, her party was low budget, and Candace pulled a Dr. Heavenly from Married to Medicine. Your mama is low budget, and that's like a ooh. Cause did you know her mama was out there in them streets, had been in jail had a 20-year sentence, had been out for only 6 years. Ooh, that was a low blow, and Mia's gonna get you on that reunion. Candace, you gonna get it. But of course Candace gonna have something slick to say. And then Ashley chimes in. They bicker back and forth. I can't go through all of it because I can't remember all of it. All I know is the editors showed up. And Karen, it's like Karen gave the editors just enough to say, hey, editor number 2 assistant, go give me that filter for psychedelics. And it was on. Karen's glitching all over through the camera, like, what? Huh? What? And Wendy is just not here for it. It's like Wendy knows, because I remember, and this is not exactly it, but Dr. Heavenly shared with Buffy, if you on their call sheet don't know what's really going on, then the scene is about you. And this is sort of the case, because it's like Wendy is aware. Oh, they coming for me. I know this, so I'm not going to really participate in it. And then it's like they started gaslighting Wendy. Robyn's like, Robyn who, everybody showed up to work except for Robyn. And Robyn is that employee who, you give her chance after chance to pull her weight, or to just do the best and get on par with everybody else. But Robyn does not have the art of shade mastered. And I'm not going to say that Gizelle does, but Gizelle does it confidently enough to make people think that she knows how to throw shade properly. But Robyn is just like, you're an asshole, Wendy. Stop yelling. And it's like, Wendy's there talking calm. And then Ashley, who wasn't, this is the thing about Ashley. She always shows up for work. Ashley, even if Ashley wasn't even at the event, she's going to act like she was there. She's going to chime in. And she and Candace are going to go back and forth. And Ashley's going to smile and laugh through the whole scene. Candace is like, were you even there, beloved? And Ashley is like, I know one thing. You need to shut your wide face up. And I'm just like, why is Candace always body shaming somebody or going in on somebody's looks when Candace, last time I checked, you got a nose job. So you should not be coming for anybody's looks, because you have put yourself wide open to that. So then anyhow, they keep going back and forth. And I think you should check this out for yourself, because I rewound it several times, and it's a shame I don't remember all of the shade that was thrown. But Karen was like, I did not get vaccinated to be around all you heifers. And then Gizelle, who said charcuterie, because she said charcuterie instead of charcuterie, has nerve to clown her. She is vaccinated, Karen. Well, it's charcuterie, Gizelle. She throws so much shade but leaves herself wide open for ridicule, and they never come with her correct, except for Karen. Because I feel like Wendy could have shut her down instantly. She told Wendy, you can leave my house. And Karen's like, wait a minute. This ain't your house, Gizelle. There's something wrong with you. This is not a house. This is outside. This is public property. Well, this is actually her property, Karen, but good A for effort, Karen, because that's what I used to do. Get out of my yard. Get out of my yard to people on my street. This ain't your yard. I'm on the sidewalk. Well, you in front of my house. Get in front of my house. That's what I used to do to kids on my block when I didn't like them. So anyhow, A for effort, Karen. But Karen's like, look, this shot has it has me out of sorts. I'm about to go. I'm leaving you heifers. And so then they're like, oh, let's go. We're all gonna leave. So then they were like, Gizelle wants to show everybody her closet. Now I've seen the tour of her closet. It's just a room. It's just a room. It's not impressive at all. It has no bling. I've seen some nice closets. And Gizelle, your closet is just a room with a bunch of tacky clothes and a bunch of wigs. Tacky wigs that aren't good. But anyhow, this episode gave me everything I needed for last night. It was the best. And like and subscribe and tell me what you think. Was it shady or reasonably shady, or was it just shady? All right. Have a good one.